Hello friends, welcome to Salesforce CMAtics video session 239. So basically in today's video, we will actually try to understand a few functions related to date, basically days between and date underscore diff. That are the two functions we will try to understand. And of course, we will take the help of the analytics development guide, as an analytics SAQL development guide. Okay, so going to the analytics studio, we will take into consideration the same data set which we have been working till now. Opening this particular data set. Okay, here we have done this on which weekdays do customers send the most mail. Now there is something else which they have done, like calculate how long activities take. For example, display the number of days since an opportunity opened. Okay. Now, of course, because they have used a different data set and they have used a different fields, that's why for them it is meaningful. But in our case, since we are using the standard fields of the opportunity object, we will just tweak this question a bit because it's just that we don't have all these fields and the data set with us. Okay. So let's say I want to calculate the number of days since an opportunity was created, something like that. Okay. So what I will do is calculate the number of days since an opportunity was created. Okay. So how to go about this one? Now, for this one, we will use this function called days between. So first of all, let's understand what is this days between about. Okay. So if you just come to this particular link, days between, this is something which is written for the days between. Okay. So I will just copy this one as well. Returns the number of days between today. This function is only valid in the for each statement. So you can only use this when you're using a for each statement. Okay. For each you generate in that statement only you can use this. Now, what is the syntax? This is the syntax. Okay. I'm marking it over here as well. So days between, you give the date one and the date two. So date one specifies the start date and date two specifies the end date. Now, basically usage is like if date one is after date two, the number of days written is negative number, which is fine. Because if the date one is later, so for example, today date is 17 December. If the date one is, let's say, 19 December, then definitely, 1 minute. Okay, so today is 17, so let's say date two is 17 and date one is 19. In that case, it will definitely return a negative number. Okay. So that's the thing about days between. Fine. So we understood the meaning of it. We will give two dates, and the first one will be the start date, the second one will be an end date. Now let's see how they have written this one. So they are loading the data set and they are generating, oh sorry, not this one. And they are just generating the days between. And what they are doing is that date which is there in the epoch, they are just mapping this to date function. We already learned about the to date functions. Okay, I guess I've written it somewhere. Okay, never mind, but I think we already know right now that it basically helps to convert into date. Okay, so once that is done, we can find the days between now. Okay, so you have this now, that is today's date along with the time, and you have this particular thing converted to time only. That is fine. And what happens is then we will calculate the days between them. Okay, so that's the way it will be done. So what I will be doing is I will be bringing the days between. Okay, I just need to calculate the days between. So I'll be bringing each of the account over here. Okay. And now I will calculate the days between. So I will just go over here. I think this one is not needed. I can delete this one. That is fine. And basically what I need to do is like I will directly go for generate. I don't need the group by also. I can directly go for the generate part. And here instead of count of a, I will be writing this one. Okay. I will be utilizing this one, this particular query. Maybe I can copy this from here and I can just put it over here as of now. And I will make the necessary changes which I have to do. So basically it will be created date underscore swag underscore epoch to now as days since Days past, yeah, I mean days since opportunity created. Okay, something like that. Fine. So maybe I can give some appropriate spaces so that it looks good. And I think that's enough. Fine. Now let me just run the query. Now, as you can see, what I can do is I can also bring the created date. Okay, so let me write. So I'm bringing the created date as well. And today, as I know, in my case, it is 17 December. So if you roughly calculate, it's so 18th, this is August. So 18 August and 18 August 2025 was already passed. So it's anyhow 365 days. And the remaining, I think 4 months are there. So basically, you do 4 into 3 is almost 120, right? So it's close to that. Right? That is completely fine. So this is completely fine. And yeah, I think most of them it is created on that day because it was a default log, and some of these which were created a bit later on, maybe we can see these are the days. Okay. So this is how we are getting this thing. So we have used this function called daysBetween. Fine. And what we are doing is basically it's so the first date is the created date, and basically now is today's date. So whatever is the difference, that is the number of days since the opportunity was created. That is something which we found out right now. So I can quickly save this. Now coming back to the next part, which is how many weeks did each opportunity take to close? So now this one we can find out because we already have this created and closed it. So here if you see, first of all, we will understand this function date underscore div, like what this function basically does. So date underscore div, you have the date part. So date part means what kind of date you want. Okay, like whether year, month, or all these functions you have. Okay, so we will just copy this one and we will just write it over here. So as you can see, basically, this is the syntax. We have the date part, the start date, and the end date. So date part specifies how you want to measure, like whether you want to get the result in terms of year, month, quarter, all these functions you have. Okay, day, week, hour, minute, and seconds. So start date specifies the start date, and end date specifies the end date. Okay, so returns the time difference between 2 years in months. For example, if you write date diff and you have mentioned what kind of difference you want in terms of year, and you have gave this particular thing to date. Okay, this one, and then again this to date, so it will return 1 over here, okay? Because we are measuring terms of year, so the year is 1. If start date is after enter, the difference is written as a negative number, which we understood. And we can use Foreach statement. We cannot use this function in group by, order by, or filter. This is an important thing to remember, that date if you cannot use in any group by or filter statement. Okay, you can only use in the for each statement. This is also an important thing to remember. Now let's go back to that thing which we were looking into. I think here also they have mentioned, by the way. Anyways, that's fine. So how many weeks did each opportunity take to close? So if that is the question, so the answer is also given. We will just replicate this once in our data set. So here we are finding the date diff. We are mentioning in terms of what we want to find, and we are having this to date. Okay, we are converting this to to date, and basically this difference which we are finding, we are mentioning it over there. What I can do is I can quickly search for that to date. I think I have written it sometimes, but I cannot find it right now. So just for reference, we will also have it. Okay, we will open the developer guide. Yeah, so it converts a string or Unix epoch second to a date. Returns a date that can be used in another function such as daysBetween. So that is important to remember. What happens is basically it will return a date which you can use in another function like daysBetween. Okay. The return date cannot be used in a filter. You cannot use this in a filter for sure, but you can definitely use it for any kind of function related to dates. Okay. That is something to keep an eye on, keep a note of. Okay. Now, here if you see, what I will do is I will again just replicate this one. So I will open this one over here. Uh, Here I need the account name. Okay, I think I can take the account name, which is fine. And I can just shift to this SAQL query. I will remove the few unnecessary ones. I don't need the group by. I'm just interested in generating and don't need the order as well. Okay. What I can probably do is I can also bring the created and closed date. Okay. So just for reference purpose, so I can write created date and I can also bring the and here I will just go for this thing. Right, let me just copy it from here and I can mention it week to close. So as you can see, we are getting the result. So basically it's giving me the number of weeks it is there for it to close. The answer can be negative if you know, like basically the close date is before the created date. In that case, it might just come up. Okay, so that's the thing about date diff, and I can just save this as this particular question. You can save this lens with this particular question itself. So that is about this one. So this is just to explain you the syntax. So days between. This is the first date, and the next one which you give is the start date. So to date helps to convert that epoch seconds into particular date, which can be utilized for this function like days between. Okay, so those can be utilized. So that's the thing. And basically, if you see this date underscore diff, basically there, this is basically the syntax. Like at first you have the date part, the start date and the end date. And from the date part, you can specify like how you want to get the date. In this case, we want it in terms of week. So that's why we mentioned the week part over here. Okay. Sorry, let me delete this too. Now, interestingly, this date diff and days between will actually give you the same result. So what I mean to say is, let's say I just copy this one. I will just quickly show you like how this date diff and days between works. Let's say I have the same scenario, okay, but let's say just I won't save this one, but just for day I will show you because days between only gives you in terms of day. So let's say I wanted it in terms of day. I will just run the query. Okay, let it run in the meantime, and here what I'm going to do is I will just copy this one as well. Okay, and here I can mention the close date. That is fine, but here I will just days between, and I will just write this particular thing, that is to date. That is this one. Okay. Not sure if the opportunity. Yeah. So just don't worry about this weeks to close. It will be days to close, of course. Okay. So maybe I can write days to close. And here also I can write days to close. Okay. I won't save it, of course. But if you see, like just only 1 day difference is there because a time part also plays a difference over there. But if you see the numbers are close, so you get the 2628 over here, and you get 2627 over. It's just like one difference because of the time part. But otherwise, it's date diff, and if you find in terms of day as well as the days between, actually does the same thing. Okay. So that's about this video of date underscore diff and days between. And yeah, we will continue in our next.